Okay, my name is Barbara, and regarding Main Division Trail, South Division Trail.
Hey, Barbara from Hiram. Thank you for writing this off. Have you guys heard any updates with the Mountain Division Trail yet?
No, no.
So they're finishing up the feasibility study. What I want to bring to you guys is that there's a new opportunity that's come forward with a business that wants to help build out the trail, and I think the town should be aware of it. So this neighboring business wants to offer his resources, his heavy equipment, bridge and road engineers, machine shop, carpentry shop, landscaping, and his personnel to help build out this trail, because he owns a business at both ends of the rail corridor. He owns a business in Portland and he owns a business in Conway. And his expansion plans are essential that the railroad tracks stay in place. This is David Stewart. And so he wants to work with the municipalities and the trail group and Maine DOT, keep the tracks and build the trail beside it. The only reason that the trail advocates didn't choose this option was because it was too expensive, or more expensive. So this is where Mr. Stewart could help sort of alleviate those expenses. If you're aware, the law that passed last year, LD 404, gave permission for a temporary trail, an interim trail on the rail bed. So it's temporary, and when trains come back, that trail has to be removed. So when train use returns, whether it's 2 years or 10 years, this trail's got to go. The estimate that I just saw for the trail was through Brownfield through Standish, $34 million, so over $1 million a mile. I think Baldwin has 11 miles or so on the track. And there's a lot of action with the Mountain Division as far as trains. This gentleman wants to certainly use the railroad. He's the owner of Conway Scenic, and he has all of the rail equipment and everything to help build it out. CSX owns the Mountain Division part in Portland, and there's talk about hauling water from Poland Springs. Vermont Rail Systems just bought the Mountain Division in New Hampshire and Vermont, out by St. Johnsbury. They're hauling short line freight, and they're looking to expand in Maine. They've put a couple bids on, I think, on a couple state lines. And then David Stewart looking to expand in Maine also. So the municipalities are responsible for maintenance on this trail, liability, and EMS.
What was the last one?
EMS, emergency services.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes they enter into agreements with the trail group to share those costs, but they're still the town's responsibility. Those are areas where Mr. Stewart could help with cost sharing. He could build out a trailhead / train station, help with maintenance along the line. Also be aware that the trail is taking land by eminent domain. I spoke to someone on Pigeon Brook Lane, a woman who got a target letter. She was not very happy. I didn't realize that was going to be a thing, but it looks like it is. In the study, they gave a nice little outline on what eminent domain is. So essentially what he wants to do is lease the railroad, build the trail. That's really important to a lot of people. And then gradually, with his own equipment, upgrade those tracks so that he can run trains from Conway to Portland with stops in between, whatever municipalities want. So there's really no action I think that you guys need to take. Just wanted to make you aware of the opportunity. What he would like to do is present to each town his sort of vision, what he can give to the town, bring to the town, how he can help you guys save money, and then answer questions that you might have. So that's that. So I'll answer any, if anyone's got questions about anything,
I guess the $1 million question is, you threw out an $11 million price tag, is that for us to do that?
What I understand is it's Maine DOT is gonna build it,
Mm-hmm.
where the funding is coming from. And then once Maine DOT builds it, it's the bicycle department that's building it, not the road department. The bicycle department, Maine DOT is building it. And then that eliminates all responsibility of the rail part of Maine DOT for any any maintenance or anything. So, whatever funding comes in from Maine DOT, I think, the trail groups are trying to find funding, but if it's gonna be built, I don't know what cost sharing is for each municipality. Those are all really good questions. And where's the money gonna come from? Who's gonna be responsible for them? What's the cost of maintenance? How much is each town gonna be responsible for? I heard $100,000 for the whole line for maintenance every year, split that into the 4 towns, 5 towns, tens of thousands that have to be approved every year.
But when this was first brought to us, I was on the assumption there was gonna be any cost to the town.
It may be the case,
Yeah.
I don't
I mean, I thought
know.
you said maintenance, and this is the first time I've heard about any cost to the town. And then eminent domain, taking land from eminent domain, I wouldn't have signed the letter of approval, I wouldn't sign that.
That surprised me.
Yeah.
I was talking to a woman, she'd been here 40 years, she's like, I'm not moving. She didn't even know what the letter was.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand what this even is. They keep sending me letters, and I'm like.
So, what are they saying that she's going to lose?
They're asking her to sell, I think. I don't know how they do this. They call it right-of-way acquisition, so I don't know. I didn't see the letter.
What do they need land for?
The right-of-way varies in width, or not right-of-way, the state owns it in fee, but it varies in width. Where it goes through my land, it's as wide as can be, but going through East Baldwin, there are places where it gets as narrow as just where the railway is.
Well, it's 3 rods down through my part,
Yeah.
down the river, 3 rods from the center line on both sides.
Yeah, so you and I have a wide railroad through us, but it varies.
Yeah.
And they could just be wanting it wide enough to have a path.
Well, I'm just curious to what, people talk about eminent domain, but, I'm just curious as to what it is. Sometimes these things get confusing.
Right, it
and,
sounds,
sounds worse
bad,
than
but
it is,
maybe
I
they're
don't know.
asking for, I think that has to be clarified.
So who is it that has the business in Conway and in Portland?
So it's David Swart. He owns the Conway Scenic Railway, which he leases that line and runs trains all the way through the White Mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And he owns VIP bus tours in Portland. And he wants to connect the two. He also wants to run short line freight, because that's where he can get some federal funding, whether there's aggregates or wood products or whatever people think they would want to move. Be once a week or 3 days a week. It doesn't have to be, because he's he's also running excursions, that would be something. It's a little different than what the old freight used to run.
So, it seems like it's just a few days late, that's all. Because this was all discussed, I think, in some detail a number of times, reviving the railroad. So what is he proposing, to build the trail himself?
He's proposing to, and I can't speak directly for him, I've spoken with him, he wants to, what his goal would be is to bring the cost down of building the trail so it can be done beside the tracks for essentially the cost of what it would cost to pull the tracks up and put the trail down. Because there's no reason you can't put it beside the trail beside the tracks. It's just more expensive in certain parts. And he's hoping to utilize sort of common sense solutions to all of that, to bring that cost down. I mean, you're getting same DOT's, you know, quote for something that might be done locally using local equipment for a lot less expensive. And no one's really talked about the different options for the areas that are a little more difficult. It was just said, oh, it's too difficult, but no one really looked into how to do them. What are options, you know, how can we help make this easier and less expensive? And so, because he wants to keep those railroad tracks, that he's willing to work with, trail groups, MDOT, and make it cheaper.
It might be, you know, there's a rail bed there with a rail on it, and it drops off pretty sharp in some place on either side. And so to just simply drop in a path beside it, it's gonna have a lot of fill, a lot of buildup. Some places you go over trestles, I don't know how you address that.
Yeah.
Build something beside the trestle, I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of water.
I would think,
Water.
I would think of
Water.
Floodplain.
right.
Take the word of the day.
Yeah, boardwalks maybe, but those are exactly, those are the exact spots that you could meet with y'all and say, and then you could look and say, what are the options, can we reroute a little bit around?
I don't know that the town really, I don't know what you folks think, but I don't know that the town is in a position right now to redirect the trail effort.
Well, I think what he's going to do is, if he puts a bid on this line, and he gets it, then the trail's a moot thing. The trail has to be, you know, if a railroad gets this lease, the trail can't be built, because the trains have priority. And so he wants to avoid that if possible, and work together with everyone to alleviate it. And it's kind of weird, because the municipalities have to buy in, the trail people have to buy in, and MDOT has to buy
I
in.
don't see what we have a buy-in for, it's not our trail,
Yeah,
we don't own the railroad.
yeah, weird, you know,
I don't know, maybe we do, but I don't see it right at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, the railroad's there, it's been there for ages, the state has owned it for a long time. We really don't have a say in it, I don't think, other than we did get an email just recently, a couple days ago, asking us what the financial impact and benefits to the town or the trail would be. It's hard to predict, right? But I'm not sure now if, the owner of the scenic railway has a legal way to put a bid on buying the railroad bed.
It would be,
I would say go for it.
yeah.
You know, and I don't know. I'm a bit of a loss to see what our input would be. It's interesting concept, but it seems like it's, fairly late. Well, who said it? Better late than never, right?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what the benefits of the town are to have a railroad running again. Do you think of any?
I don't think of anything now, I mean, it's,
maybe the
without
or something.
knowing exactly what's going on, let me ask you this, what's your vested interest in it?
Yeah.
I've been trying to save the mountain division from being torn up. I
Okay,
think I presented before you guys
Yeah,
a
yeah,
year and a half ago.
yeah,
At that point, there was no, immediate use for the line. No one had put forth interest. Conway Scenic had put forth feelers, but not the project that we've got now, because now we own the Portland business. And at that point, everyone's like, well, there's no train coming back, so let's put the trail in, but things have shifted a little bit.
So they're proposing to put scenic railway stops along the road?
Sure, yeah, I mean, you would love to, and I guess that would be, maybe the next step of the town would be, if you wanna just sit down with him and see if he has anything to offer you guys, what would his plans be, you know, how could he help save costs, you know, what in more detail. So I'm kind of just making everyone aware of that situation, and then he's hoping to go to each municipality specifically with what they have for geography and, whether they have a trailhead, you know, I think the trail is thinking of using the Whistle Stop for a trailhead, but it's privately owned, and so, you know, so things like that always have to come in, and,
Seems like a million layers to this, you know, I mean, there's been roads that are tied over it. I guess for that $1 million a mile price tag, you could almost fix both the rail and the trail beside of it.
I would think that the rail would have to be upgraded to support.
Yeah, no, it's no good for trains, I mean, it's,
well, the study they did on the RUAC for class 2, which is freight and excursions up to 20 to 30 miles an hour, they said they wouldn't have to pull the rails, but they would have to replace the ties.
Yeah.
And he's got all of that tie replacing equipment and rebuilds, all of that. And that's where he could save money, whereas getting a contractor in from government is more expensive.
Can I interject just a second?
Sure. Yeah.
I was on Facebook and I got an email or a Facebook page, whatever, and it was from Danny Hester. And he's really into this. He's all involved in this.
Yeah.
So I would
he's
think
hired.
I would think that you want to talk to him too.
I have.
Yeah.
We've, emailed, I talked with the Hiram Select Board last week, let them know. I'm gonna go to Brownfield next week.
Now, is this just for walking and bicycles? Because the trailhead you see a lot of people parked at the Whistle Stop with the four-wheelers and the 4x4s and stuff like that, using some of the trails.
Yeah, four-wheelers have been specifically prohibited.
Well, I know some of them go down the side of the.
On the new trail, they've been prohibited, no ATVs whatsoever. Snowmobiles, they say, can occur on there, but then it's a paved path through the woods. I think that would limit the snowmobiles. You're gonna have picks that are gonna destroy the car and do more maintenance. You're gonna have to have snow, a lot of snow to run on them, and they're gonna limit speed, so they're hoping the snowmobiles will permit for them in the winter, but I hope the snowmobile clubs ask very specific questions about the limits, because that's a big run. I mean, it's the main run up and down, you know. I used to run the Hiram Snowmobile Club. And again, that's something that if it can be worked out somehow, I don't know, things to bring to, you know, David, where maybe it would be easier to figure out an idea than trying to get MDOT to change what they're trying to do.
What do you do about the wetlands? That just comes back to me because the rails the roadbed is this big dam.
Right.
You know, and streams will go up to it and then along it, and then you get a culvert, and then the same thing, you know, as you go along, it's happening on both sides.
Yeah, so, I mean, for the trail, it would still be the same, it would use the causeway, they tore the tracks up and put the trail down.
But if you
do both,
widen it,
right.
you're imposing on the wetlands.
So what I think an option for that could be is a dedicated boardwalk for
You're talking about miles of dedicated boardwalk. I mean, through my property, I'll say you need 1.5 miles, 2 miles.
Yeah, and again, that would be a question for, depends on how bad he wants his rail, right?
Bond and all that, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen it done in Virginia, but, with old rail beds along the Potomac, but, you know, it's a bigger population, a lot of money there.
Yeah, and that was why
from South William to Standish. And it's a decent trail, and it really didn't impose much on wetlands or anything, because you still have that side right next to the rail.
Mhm.
I mean, there's plenty of room for people to walk and get around.
And in that area, they have a trestle and they're like, okay, what do you do with the trestle? And they built,
build around it.
yeah, I
They
got a
build
picture of it,
around
they just built a
A platform on the
cantilever,
top.
yeah, cantilever to,
Like going across the bridge, you don't go across the bridge, you go on the side of it.
and so, I
That's
know
how we ride our bikes to Portland.
You ride a bike from here to Poland?
Yeah.
Done it before.
Just because, you're making
I don't know if I
ties,
could do it now.
I rode to South Wyndham one time.
That's the other thing he wants to do, is you could do a bike train, you know, you could ride this section of the trail and then take the train back and not have to come back and ride, I mean, there's options. But, I mean, it depends on how much do you wanna spend to save the railroad, that's the question, you know, and so, I guess
well, at that point, the railroad's kinda useless to us, we're just after the trails, right? So his vested interest is in the railroad, has nothing to do with us.
well, you would still get it would
The
still
side
be,
trail,
it would still be main DOT,
yeah,
he would be leasing it.
yeah.
So any improvements he made on the tracks, let's say he's 10-year lease and he improves the tracks and then he moves on, then you've got an improved railroad that you can use for whatever you want. Maybe you've got a train station, maybe you've got, so in a way,
Yeah, I mean, everything would hinge on the cost of the town, in my view, you know what I mean?
with,
Like, what would it cost us to have this trail? You know what I mean?
yeah,
I guess, we kinda touched on it, but,
yeah, I think
I
that's
mean,
the
I'm
question.
still stuck on the $1 million a mile, and I know Baldwin doesn't have $11 million to throw into.
I don't think they've ever thought that we would pay for it. I think that what has been I've heard though, is that we would pick up some maintenance costs.
And liability, I think, and I do think the trail people are trying to form a group to share that, but those are questions that need to be asked, and I don't think they
Yeah.
were asked or answered, you know, I think things kinda went through quickly and a lot of promises were made, but,
Bring it to a town meeting, what happens when you vote it down?
I mean, I think municipalities have to buy in on the plan that MDOT's gonna bring forward.
Maybe it's in the plan.
So they have a feasibility study almost completed, which breaks the trail into sections. So I think MDOT's got that checked. And they're supposed to come around and, I think, talk with you about all that.
Okay. Well, it's interesting, all ears, I guess,
Steve Estes would like the whole sand.
Huh?
Steve Estes wants the whole aggregate.
Yeah.
That's why he bought the piece of property he did there alongside the tracks. That's what he said at the time, anyway.
Yeah.
Might have changed his mind.
I think those are good targets. Aggregates are good ones to call. Wood products is good call.
Yeah.
They're heavy. And it's, now it's expensive to truck, so, hey. So, yeah, so thank you though, I'll,
So what's the gentleman's name?
David Swirk, SWIRK.
Work, and he's the owner of,
Yep, co-owner of Conway Scenic Railways and CIP Tours in Portland.
is he gonna come talk to us?
He would love to, yep. So I'll let him know, I think he wants to look at each section and try to form a very specific town-oriented, presentation.
Well, it'd be interesting to hear. I'm still a bit puzzled as to how he's gonna reverse what's already underway.
Yeah, it is, it's kind of a train that's rolling on, so, but,
Thank you.
Thank you.
if you don't mind, I'll hang out and.
Next thing, Mickey Day, login. have a landing on Brownville. I guess it's where
I can speak to that.
okay, so the old dump used to be?
Yeah, where the old dump was.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've used it before, and, it would just be a shorter haul for us. Otherwise, the swamp there, but, you know, behind the dump, we'd have to go around the swamp and then back up to
Oh.
Brown Road.
Cause around neighborhood barn there, Robin Hood's barn,
Yeah.
You like that?
I can't exactly picture the piece of land, but, is it like what a ball field used to be type of deal?
Keep on going down the road.
Keep on going down a little bit?
Yeah.
Oh, you're too young for this. Well, you must be
Too young, what are you talking
You
about?
must remember this, the dump down there.
I don't
I
remember
barely
that.
remember it.
Yeah, well, you must be older than me, for sure.
Couple of years.
Road in the last house there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. And the last time we were in there was when we were doing the review of lands owned by the town of Allen. Trash pile. Good bushes growing up.
Just, still okay.
I don't think there's anything particularly there for the town to save. So, you're gonna build a road through it and, or have they done that before?
We've done it before. We've used that area before as a landing. We just want a landing, you know, access to Brown Road. And that's it.
I'm okay with it, I would, I think we should use Ricky Wright, when they have to use his services on time.
He pays his taxes, as do I.
Yeah, right?
Gotta help us find the money.
Save the money, more power to him.
As far as I can see, I don't think it's hurting anything.
Yeah.
You'll revert back to the same condition when you're done,
There you
right?
go.
I like trash. Guess you get permission to do that.
Thank you. Thanks.
Proposed.
Jimmy? May I interrupt your schedule here? I have a fire department staff meeting around that we had to reschedule, and I'd really like to talk to you guys
Okay.
before I have to start that about the WMTW contract.
Okay, yeah.
I promise I won't be long because I'm all for it, so tell me what your guys' concerns are.
I guess we were just waiting for you to verify that it's a good deal for the town of Alden, you know? You've been
Yeah.
in and out of the schematics of it, well,
Yes, I have definitely been, I should have a degree in radio communications development after that, that's incredible. Yeah, it's a great deal. The only reason that it had to be revised, the only reason that WMTW had to come up with a new lease plan is to allow, them to have some sort of, they don't wanna be liable for the county stuff. And that's really all that the new contract is basically stating. The new contract also allows us to do something pretty great, so we've had our massive repeater issue. You know, our repeater's like way out of date, we talked about this months ago. And it was a pretty, financially draining project, so I have a intermediate fix for us. Between me and Jeff Hartford, we have a brand new repeater down at County, at Cumberland County Regional Communications, but we have no infrastructure to set it up. As soon as Cumberland County is done at W Tower, we already own that repeater there and we can just move it. And so that saves us well, it doesn't save us really anything, but it puts off $120,000 bill for quite some time. And so this is really the only thing that's holding up WMTW and, well, not WMTW, it's holding up, RCM's project for county, because they've been ready to work since June. So Melinda Dyer, the 911 director at Cumberland County, doesn't even want to hear my voice until I have a contract for them. But yeah, so this is really just that. It's just a revised agreement that allows basically WMTW to be liability free for whatever RCM wants to put in to the tower for county, and then allows us to still maintain all of our same things, all the same stuff that we're doing.
So this negate the need for the $120,000.
Not exactly. What it does is it makes it doesn't need to happen tomorrow, which it's not gonna happen tomorrow because of where we are financially, but it needs to be. What it's gonna do is it's gonna allow our emergency communications to have a much newer repeater and survive. I mean, we listen to Lewiston, we listen to so many people on our primary channel because our repeater doesn't have the ability to filter out people who share the same frequency but are in a large distance. Can narrow the band on the repeater, and ours is unable to be narrowed because of how old it is. There's no parts for it, there's no way to tune the repeater. So we have a newer repeater system sitting at county right now that we use as our backup, but we have no way to put it over here right now because we have no rack, no infrastructure, all of our infrastructure is very old. As soon as RCM puts in county's new equipment that we set up this whole entire deal with them for earlier this year, then we can just use their rack. There's no charge, there's no fee, it's just our equipment being moved, and really as simple as that.
But we have to pay to set it up.
Yeah, I'll have to pay Jeff Hartford to move it, but I can't see that being more than $2,000 or $3,000 versus $120,000.
So how long will it delay the need for the $120,000?
I honestly couldn't give you an exact figure right now. That's why I didn't get my degree in communications yet, but I can tell you that I can get, I'd probably be able to get an estimate from Jeff Hartford on what he would say on that.
5 or 6 years?
I would think. Otherwise, I don't know why he would suggest it as something that's advantageous for us, you know what I mean? Like, why suggest it if it's gonna be a 3-year fix? I think our CIP for it anyway is within 3 years, it's $30,000 to 4 years. You know, we put away $30,000 this year, and we're waiting for a goal of 120, we have, 3 more cycles to go, so at that point, it would be, our repeater should be in service. We need a little bit more than a repeater. It's a voter system, it's a lot of these pretty insanely technical things that are going on that are definitely above me. That's why we hire radio specialists, but, this contract specifically is preventing WMTW from letting RCM come in and do the work for county. The sooner we get them in to do their work, the sooner that we can at least put a Band-Aid on something and then, push out doing a very, very, very expensive project.
Well, I move that you sign the document.
Second? All in favor? All right.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I will, at least just reach out to Melinda Dyer so she's off her back.
I'm sure he signs it everywhere he needs to, because I think there's several places.
There probably is. I'll review it before I send it to Melinda, but at least I'll just be able to give her a text and let her know. Thank you very much. I apologize for interrupting the meeting. Yeah, absolutely. I'm doing a lot of office work, so that's why you haven't seen me much. It's a lot of baby time and a lot of office work, so. All right, have a good night.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Now for the proposal of the special town meeting. For the meeting for our new ordinances.
We gotta try to do them all in one night, is that the thought process?
It's a suggestion.
It's gonna be a long night. Could be.
It might not be, you just never know.
With ordinances, they have to be up or down, you can't wordsmith them in the town meeting. It's all or nothing,
Right.
each one,
No.
okay?
Right.
So that's one of the things that
Right.
keeps the time short.
Okay.
Here's the issue, is I'm not sure that the public hearings for the ordinances were properly noticed. And it probably wouldn't be an issue, except for, I'm pretty sure this guy who's seeing us on the cannabis one is gonna be looking at everything in detail. And so, I don't know, Joe, we haven't been able to find the second notice.
So I talked with Don Sharp, and he says he thought he'd put it in twice.
Does he have emails or something, or any proof or anything?
He's kind of stretched out.
Yes, we don't have, we've looked at the, shopping guides, and we see it once.
Well, you wanna do it again, we'll do it again, you know?
I mean, there's a lot of work done into all of these, I hate to see any of it get wasted, because somebody's,
Let's do it again.
somebody challenges a technicality. And,
I don't know, I would feel much better if we just made sure we crossed that T on it, and,
So, that means we'd have to go back to
public
talking
hearing.
about it a week from this next Thursday, cause that would be a planning board hearing.
Yeah.
So the planning board has to set that. That'd be the 8th of August, and then we need 10 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
well, this
7,
says here,
9,
the
10.
notice must be posted in the municipal office at least 13 days before the public hearing. It must be published at least 2 times in a newspaper that complies with Title I, 601, and has general circulation in the municipality. The date of the first publication must be at least 12 days before the hearing, and the date of the second must be at least 7 days before the hearing.
So we're probably looking at something like,
I don't know,
August 29.
yeah. We can just make sure it goes through the gates properly, then.
No,
I would
that's
suggest
That's
that.
fine, that's fine.
Is it days
August
or
29.
days?
I mean, just to throw a date out,
Yeah.
which the planning board has to look at.
Yeah.
Do they do it as days or business days?
Days, is what it says.
But other than that, I think they look good, there's, been a lot of work done on them, so.
Yeah, your email on that got me thinking the same thing. It's like,
I spoke with David Lorry today about it, and he said, you don't wanna take a chance on it.
Well, David says that.
Yeah, you know, the guy is apparently, the attorney is apparently looking at everything that he can.
Oh, and sure, yeah.
And I think the other ones would probably go all right, but if we're gonna do them all at once, we'll just,
Might as well do public hearings all at once.
yeah.
works for me.
Yep. Okay, yep. Next thing, ATVs on town roads, I'm kind of looking around, and we've got San Pond Road, Carbondale Road, out of Cram Road, marked as ATV trails. And those have never been voted on for ATV trails. I did a little bit of research, I guess that the guy on Route 11 with the cows or cattle, I guess some of his land, he allows him to do the old trail that goes over to Sevago. But some of it, he signs up no ATVs because he didn't want to split his cows. Well, apparently someone went beyond the signs and started harassing his cows. So he ain't too happy about that. And somebody had posted that on Facebook. So I kind of looked into it, and I guess it's Saco River Riders, ATV Club,
Mm-hmm.
in charge of the trails around here.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get in touch with these guys, and
Yeah, I got the number of the guy that runs it. Just
you do.
told my father, yeah, so when Michelle was asking about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It is, I've seen some things that made me kind of cringe. I was going down my road the other day, and there's an ATV that's going across the mountain road on the Cram Road, never even stopped at the stop sign. coming over here Sunday, and one guy was going right down 107, and, right in the middle of the road. I'm guessing that, there was a couple side-by-sides on the trail on the side of the road. I guess he thought they might have been going too slow and wanted to pass them, so he decided to go on the road. So, if you wanna give him a call, and I think have him come in and talk to us, maybe we can work out something that,
What kind of protocol?
yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I'm not against having them on there, you know, but there's gotta be some kind of,
I don't know much pull you'd have though, just, you know, trying to tame individuals.
I know, so there's gonna be some that,
Yeah.
well, I'm just thinking too, that if they get pulled over, they're not, I mean, if they get a ticket,
From Cumberland County?
yeah,
Are you kidding me?
no,
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 they, no.
from what about Gable?
I don't even know. I mean, you just know the way the justice system works now. I mean, that lady that hit the guardrail up there before Donna Sears was drunk off her ass, and the Cumberland County just let her go.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, that's not published information, but that's what I understand. I mean, you know how it works. They just bring them in and then.
Yeah, 'cause they, yeah.
So they're not interested in.
They're not, yeah, and arresting people.
It'd be hard to get Cumberland County to actually care about it, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, Chad told me that Daymore had a couple of them stop the other end of Carbonaro, which is just, so,
He needs to stop them on a Merck Road too.
yeah, yeah.
And if you talk to them, tell them to stay off my land.
That's a problem too, it's like everything, and it's from their own doing, but, I mean, these side-by-sides and the mentality of the people that drive them, they're just destroying people's land. So people post their land and they send them out onto the road to
Right.
get to another. So, there's so many layers to the problem, I don't know.
Yeah, I know they've been down to the parking lot of the beach and Town Beach and still went.
Hmm. I mean, if they could just ride, it wouldn't be no problem,
Right,
but.
yeah, I mean, I see most, a lot of them going down the side of the road at 107, they're just, you know, cruising along, they're not causing any problem, and you get that one jerk that's gonna cause a problem down the road for everybody else.
The thing is their tires, you know, like if you walk some of the trails,
Oh, the gouge it right up.
they just gouge them right out, and
Yeah.
it's like,
Just going too fast, yeah.
Well, I could definitely call them and, get some insight, see what kind of pull they might have with, you know, they're just kinda like
Yeah, I like
maintain the trails, I don't know how much
Yeah,
pull they have over.
I'm just thinking, we should be marking town roads as ATV trails, when we've never approved it. We have.
So where are these markers? Right on the road?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, right at the end of both roads there.
yeah, yeah. I know your father came by and wanted us to approve from Gilman Hill Road up to, I think it's that trail that goes across the road, the Stonewood Trail, for that to be an ATV trail, which we did. So that is approved to be,
The one that crosses by Carbonell Road on the upper side of it, you mean?
Yeah.
Goes behind his cattle farm, or?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Route 11, yeah, and, that has been approved.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, looking out for the neighbors on San Palm Road, I don't know, there wasn't too many on
Just
Carbonell.
everything, yeah.
Yeah.
ATVs look like little Jeeps now.
I
Well,
know.
that's just it.
World War II Jeep.
Yeah.
That's just it,
Yeah,
And they are dusty and messy for sure.
yeah. Oh, yeah, those ones going down there the other day, they were kicking up the dust up crazy.
Yeah, I'll inquire about his marking system and how we can designate certain roads now, if that's the case.
I mean,
What if they have a trail map, I can find out where they actually run their trails.
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know that you guys ever voted on that 107 being an ATV trail. I know you talked about it, I know you talked about it, but then the vote was never called.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure about that. Dwight and I talked about it later.
I thought we voted on it. I know you had concerns then.
Yep, and,
Oh, ATV's
and
going
he
to
didn't hold a vote.
Okay,
And like I said, we talked about it,
Yeah.
but he hadn't asked for a vote.
all right. Well, maybe I'm wrong then, as far as, or if I will never pursue it,
Do we have the ability to do that?
Yes.
Let's say here, 500 feet.
They can go on the road, or on a public way, 500 yards from trail to trail,
Mm-hmm.
no more than 500 yards.
Yeah.
So we do have,
There's some that are
We have the authority to designate a road the whole length of it.
What's the town in southern Maine here that did that to all their roads? Southwest.
Yeah.
Some town did that. All the roads can go on with ATV.
It'd be nice if we could all just like coexist as a, but you got 10 people that, make it look bad for everybody else, I don't mind somebody cutting down the ditch to get to a trail, it doesn't bother me, but when they're going around the corner at 80 and spinning up the whole trail, that makes a little difference.
right, yeah.
Yeah, let's call and see where he's at with it and what his thought process is. And what's acceptable to them as a ATV club.
Yeah.
I know Michelle actually got ahold of me again. She likes to text me on like Sunday night or something. But, they were supposed to put down Jersey barriers somewhere on that land that she bought
Yeah.
to keep them guided
yeah.
into the existing trails, what's on her land.
Yeah, yeah.
And they hadn't done that yet, so she wanted the number again, but, I'll call her, ask them, tell them we get a bunch of complaints.
Yeah.
Step it up,
Well, especially, I'm on the San Juan committee,
I imagine they fly right through there, don't they?
yeah, there's a couple on there, they're talking about everything, and they're raising that concern about ATVs going down their road. Turn up the dust and. All right. Reminders. I don't have any reminders. We don't have a new calendar. Joe, you got anything?
No,
Okay.
I'm good, thanks.
Kathy?
Just getting ready for the book sale
Oh, yeah, yeah.
coming up soon, gotta pick up more raffle prizes.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That's on 10?
Yep.
August. Mary?
No, I don't, thank you.
Mariella?
I was just wondering, we had talked to, the sheriff's department and what he had decided, what you guys decided on, if you're gonna put it off for 2 more years, or, and having them, paying for them to come into our town.
Yeah, first we have to look into what the cost is gonna be. We haven't done that yet, so. Last time I knew it was like $130,000.
And that was just a unit.
Right, yeah, that's, yeah, so we'll do it. And I've seen a bigger presence of state police around, I've seen a bigger presence of county around,
Lots.
yeah.
I see one every night go up over the hill, first the state police, and the sheriff.
Come up my way?
Yes.
Yeah, I
I don't think the sheriff makes it.
He doesn't get your fine.
He turns it off.
Oh, okay. So there is a state trooper that lives up
Yeah.
there on Mountain
Yeah.
Road.
Yeah.
To me, it almost seems like espionage, you know, to have to hire a town. And then you try to like weigh the benefits versus the
Right,
cons,
yeah.
I guess, and it doesn't seem to, still seems to stay right there in the middle,
Yeah,
you know, 'cause
It's like we're getting double dipped. We have to pay them, you know, we have to pay Cumberland County.
yeah.
And then they want a little bit more, they can,
I mean, there's enough around, I feel, that, you know, of course, nobody's riding around town, which we don't need.
you know,
You know,
usually
maybe
they're
for the
around when
ATVs, but,
the burnouts are happening.
yeah,
I call it legalized extortion.
but,
Yeah.
You know, they try to get Al Capone on and sort of, you know, making people pay money for protection. That's
Yeah.
right, that's what it's same
Yeah,
thing.
it's about the same thing, yeah.
Yeah,
You know, it's like we're paying Cumberland County, and then it's like they want us to pay them even more for,
extra.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bruce, got any? No? Patty, do you have anything else?
I think I've said enough.
Okay. Robin, do you have anything?
Yeah, just, I think you saw the email, the roof contractor's gonna be in the third week of August.
Oh,
or thereabouts.
yeah.
And I had a discussion on the phone this afternoon. Says it's okay if we assume that the bill is issued on the day they start work, and then they have 30 days before interest accrues on that first 30%. So,
Oh,
job will be done by the time.
yeah.
You know, so anyway, we'll get there. That's okay.
Robin?
I was just gonna ask Dale if he was able to speak with Carol Frost.
that was gonna be my, talking point.
Okay.
Yes. And I have a picture, when you go down to that V, the guy with the tire driveway has walked the road off. With a big rope, private property, beware a dog, no trespassing. The lady right on the corner, I'm assuming,
When did you, after I went up
Yeah.
there?
yeah, almost immediately.
Oh, wow.
And then once you go down onto that road a little bit, for that first house that you can see, they've made a driveway up into their house from the non-existent Hall Road. So my thought, I guess, the only thing that makes sense to me, it used to be Hall Road right to Partridge Lane, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we keep it that way? Because this guy obviously is a private drive, he would still have a number off of Hall Road, yet the driveway's way up here, and then Hall Road goes down to right where the Frosts are, and then that's their driveway.
We had thrown that out there.
Yeah.
Don Kent's concern was that in the future, CEO might forget or not realize that that is a discontinued road.
I think we should move beyond the days of our last employer, you know, without throwing any shade. I mean, I don't know how much of a concern that is, you know what I mean? Because if anybody pulls on the Hall Road, it dead ends in two different spots. I mean, obviously that tar driveway that goes up. So if you're driving down Hall Road as an EMS, you're gonna end up at the bottom. You know what I mean? You're gonna find a destination.
They're gonna have to put, where they corded that off, they're gonna have to put signs with numbers.
Right where it is, right, 59 and
Or whatever
whatever
number
it may be,
the
whatever
log
you come up
cabin
with,
is
but-
too, so that, because that's, when you get two or more dwellings, that's kind of the rule, that you rename that, and that's why I measured that up to his house, because we were gonna have to name that too.
Well, wouldn't, to me, I would think Hall Road would end right at the very base of the driveway, where Partridge Lane go past starts to take up.
Yeah.
And that would be just another spur driveway shared by the two property owners. That's how I look at it common sense wise. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but, I mean, when I saw that guy, he literally got quarantined off. I took it, it's still there today. He must take the road down, drive through, put it back up, and then go home. isn't Hall Road, this is my driveway, you know what I mean?
His driveway or right-of-way is shared with that old farm.
Yeah, which has a new driveway in now.
Okay.
It's not much of one, because they just started, it's more or less, they clear some trees and they go across their lawn. So I don't know what's going on down in that corner, but something.
Lordy. I don't
Just
know.
add a couple more layers to it,
Yeah, because I mean, it really gets, very involved when you know, look at it from the two or more on, it's just like Carol Frost's house.
Mhm.
Her entrance to the garage is off Donnie's driveway, so technically that's another road now. You know what I mean? So you can keep splitting and dividing like a genealogy family tree here,
Mhm.
because that's how it works. I mean, if her entrance, so what you ask yourself is, if I was a fire truck or a rescue person or a police officer, how am I gonna get to the patient? You know, do I drive up to the daylight front of the house? Are they gonna bring them out that way, or am I driving up to the garage? So in terms of numbering, where is the front of the house? You know,
Right, but to me, so let's just assume that Hall Road still goes through to the
Yeah.
bottom of Carroll's and Donald's.
mhm,
He is a driveway off of that,
Yeah.
and then they're a driveway off of that.
yeah,
So would you have to name that, even though it's just a private drive?
if the other people have roughed out a new driveway, I mean, if they're willing to plow that and have access, I
The
mean,
town only goes right to that V anyways, right?
yeah,
And then they push it off.
right, but see, I have an idea that they probably shared the financial burden of maintaining that driveway that he's ported off, because it's gravel and then you can see where his begins, which is tar, just like
Yeah.
with my personal road, we have an 1,800-foot road,
Mhm.
but where my brother's driveway turns off, I've tarred the top of the orchard, so you can see right where mine begins,
Mhm.
you know, and there's ends, but we all share in the maintenance of the road.
Mhm.
So I have an idea that they probably have some sort of agreement, but if everybody's agreeable to it staying Hall Road and just one part of it is discontinued, I'm cool with that, makes my life easier. But as long as there's no confusion, you know,
Yeah.
down the road with, it's a right of way, so then we talk about permits and subdivisions and all this fun stuff, because it's no longer a road, it's a right of way. So that's where we have to make sure that there's no confusion.
What you might wanna do is when you decide all this and get it all ironed out,
Mhm.
is get hold of somebody down in Cumberland County Dispatch and make sure they know where that road is closed off.
Well, right now, 911 actually has it hooked up halfway towards the log cabin, and Hall Road does not hook
That's what I said.
up halfway towards the log
Once you
cabin.
get it all ironed out, you're
Right.
gonna know whether to come in from one road or the other road.
Mhm.
But if you don't tell them, they won't know, but
Yeah.
they'll put it in the CAD system,
Mhm.
and immediately when those phone numbers comes up, it'll show the map to it.
Yeah.
So
But
if
it
you
needs
go
to
on
be
Google
put in.
Maps, it'll take you to the end of Hall Road up that guy's side driveway.
It'll go up to where, I think it's 189 feet up, so it's just about to where his car starts, I think, is
Okay.
how they have Hall Road, where 911
And
has
that's
ended.
just basically because it's
And-
been discontinued, right?
Yep, and, so it's discontinued down where the sign for 59 is,
Mhm.
where it becomes, you know, more of a tote road or right of way as opposed to a road. But, so I compared measurements with what 911 had, with their intervals. I measured it myself physically, plus I went on to Google Maps and I used their measuring tool, which is fairly
Pretty good,
approximate.
yeah, that's.
Yeah, it's fairly
that's
good.
close,
Because I was concerned that, in the past, the 911 measuring tool that was in their database didn't really account for turns and hills. So if you're doing everything straight, then you're missing a lot of footage, you know, like, let's look at, I use Senator Black Road as an example, it's one big curve and one big hill, right?
Mhm.
You're either going uphill or downhill, and it's, you know, it's like a C, kind of a circle. So that that was there before was not accurate, and as a result, a lot of it is not, the sequence is off. And we've had to, I've worked with the state to kind of fudge things to make it work, and a couple of the newer addresses have had to be changed. Same thing down on, Sebago Road. It gets complicated and, yeah, but if we can keep it home road, then I'm fine with that, but it needs to be clear that it becomes a right of way at some point. So I don't know if the town could erect a sign maybe that says town maintenance, kinda like on Carbonell, you know, ends here or something along those lines. And then everybody could have those addresses that they'll need to put signs.
Right, they'd all be off the corner, whether this driveway's longer than this one.
So they can
or this
keep their
driveway's
same
longer
numbers.
than that one.
But they're gonna have to put the numbers at the end of that driveway so that they know
But
what they are.
once that's changed in the state system, wouldn't Google or Apple, wouldn't they adjust for that?
No,
within that?
Google, because I just had a big discussion with the Scarborough, Portland, division of the post office, because the East Baldwin post office, how typically the 911 notification letters, the official letter goes to the property owner, the resident, and then to your local post office, and we're lucky enough to have two. So, and then they have their database, they would forward it, I guess, into Portland or Scarborough, and they have, their database of folks that have, mail delivery, and then they have this other phantom, list of people that, don't have delivery, but they have a number. So, it's quite involved, and most recently, the East Baldwin post office, the mail's been returned to me with the notification. They're not acknowledging it as an address, their own address, so it gets better. So I send things directly to Portland now, to the Scarborough, I have a connection in there, and so I know that she is updating things because it impacts a lot of things. First and foremost, it's 911. Secondly, mail delivery in the post office, but it's also Spectrum. I've been working with a gentleman, he wants to rent out his property on Zillow, and Zillow has to have a legit address. You know, it's all, you can't, one of those fill-in boxes you can't move beyond unless you have so Google, I don't know where Google gets their information from, but lots of times it's inaccurate, and you have to kind of continue to message Google to tell them, you know, fix it. This is what I've run into with people, and it sends them to different areas. For instance, Google right now has Partridge Lane, the end of Partridge Lane, as Crawford Road, and then it has Crawford Road as Old 113 and Crawford Road. So you can't obviously have two Crawford Roads. Not connected, but Google does. So I tried to explain to the gentleman that, you know, I don't know, I know Google has a little car that they ride around with a camera on it, and that's updated every so often. And if houses aren't numbered, then maybe it's not capturing, you know, if it's looking just at mailboxes, and then maybe they also do some sort of a confirmation with postal service, I don't know.
If you look on Google Maps at what the car does, the car takes every bush and blade of grass, the whole length of 113, the whole length of Senator Black Road, everything.
So last I looked, it hasn't been updated since 2011.
I was gonna say, it's been a
But they got a
while.
picture of me carrying a board through the front yard.
You could have your property blurred out too.
Mhm.
I mean, what's funny is it's blurred out on the 107 side on mine, but on this side,
Yeah.
it's not blurred out on the Rush Road, because they went in.
So the postal service lady, because of this, my working with this gentleman to get his property rented, it takes them 2 weeks to update their database. It takes 911 a couple of weeks. takes me a little bit of time. So it can, all of us collectively, it can take some time to get people a, you know, a good working address that other delivery people, can identify with. But like she said, so Spectrum, she said she knew that Spectrum utilized their database, but, other delivery people might be using whatever they have for, a GPS in their vehicle, like a, you know, the old TomTom, who knows, or they might be using Google Maps, and if it's not accurate, it kinda is what it is, but it's, I can see where it can be frustrating for homeowners, especially when you add another layer. I have no way of knowing for certain which areas of town don't have mail delivery.
Right.
You know?
I can't get mail delivery up on the metro because I'm out of the loop. I have to go to the post office.
Right.
Yeah.
So when I was doing this, address for this guy that wants to put a duplex on Zillow, it's kind of across from 159 and there's a mailbox there, right? So the mailbox is there, but it's useless because they don't get mail delivery there, which I just discovered this, so he's not gonna be happy.
You know, I understand frustration with everything that he said, but I just go back to the days, which weren't that long ago, where people actually had to find people without a computer or a cell phone, and it seemed like they did.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? You go to Hall Road, drive down, look for somebody waving their arm, or something, you know,
Or they put a
You know,
sign out
some
with a
kind
piece
of-
of cardboard that said,
Party.
minor,
right.
with an arrow.
69, right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. No, I understand the frustration, but
Well,
it
everything's
seems
based
like,
on this.
on your end, it should be a lot easier for you to,
But I can tell you, dealing with Google is a real hassle. My son works, IT for, the Grant Training Center, does most of the training for grants around the country. Really bad.
Well, and it's off too, because it's like mine's 421 and it's in the field where they have to show where my place is supposed to be.
Well, what will happen too is, and this happens even in the 911 database, so if you don't have, we're not a populous area, so lots of times it's obviously green where there's a lot of trees, right? So you have a general idea with measurements of where the driveway's gonna be, but in reality, so where you plot it on the map, by the time the structure's there, it's a bit off, so you have to go back and you have to adjust it so the, you know, the spot is really on the house. At some point, it doesn't happen, you know,
My
right off.
driveway's been there since the early
Mhm.
60s, so
Yeah, but,
the house has changed.
yep, it's interesting and it's time consuming, and I wish I just didn't care. I wish I could just say,
I can
okay,
help you
oh,
with
well,
that, Robin, I
that's
can help
it,
you.
but
A
then-
couple therapy sessions, I can
Yeah,
help you with that.
but I ended up calling Thomas at the state, and he says, well, if you really, he says, my advice to you, because I'll say to him, you know, these people aren't gonna want their address changed. I know it's a real, you know, pain in the tush, and you've gotta notify all these different, you know, creditors and all of this stuff, and he says, well, if they're really mean to you, Robin, my advice is to do it right before Christmas. So, he said that'll get 'em.
I guess long story short, you know, seeing like that guy's got his own driveway blocked off like it's his, that tells me that's no longer Hall Road, in his mind or mine. So Hall Road should run right to the end of Partridge Lane, where it starts to go past up the hill, and then everybody else should be a number off of the Hall Road. You can take it from there, but that's just my take. On how it should go.
If these three collectively are agreeable with me taking the hook down from where the guy's got the, chain across, and putting it down just shy of Partridge Lane, and, cause I've got all the measurements, I can do that. But I think there should be a sign there that says.
Point
town-
some to the end of it, yeah, Hall Road, this way.
Public, yeah,
Yeah.
public part, public portion of Hall Road ends here, or something that's very clear you know, that this is, the buck stops here,
Mhm.
beyond that is a right of, so there's no confusion.
Well, mine's
down the road.
private. Probably private.
Mhm.
The private would start off of the Hall Road, because I
Yeah,
don't know if
but
you're familiar with the
I
area, but
know, yeah.
Donald lives a good 150 yards up the hill, as well as that Todd driveway we're talking about. I don't know how far he lives up there. I think you said, what, 180 feet instead of,
Well, his, the tar probably
that's
starts
where
at
it
about
stops. 'Cause you can't see the house from the road. I've never
No.
seen that. No.
No, but it looks like a road.
Yeah.
You know, and there is no sign at the end that says,
We can't go down now because
Right.
it's roped off with a beware of dogs sign. So, another layer for you, for that.
Too many town officials snooping around over there.
I don't know,
That's why you
like I
open
said,
up.
I don't know the situation. Carol didn't either, 'cause she asked me, she's like, why, what's going on down there? I'm like, I don't know, I just come to work.
they must have saw me with my measuring
Maybe,
Yeah.
thing, yeah,
yes,
cause I was measuring, so.
yeah. I wonder what you're doing, and then it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, keep me off my property.
And you're gonna talk about it for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I did see a bobcat.
Oh, you did?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Really?
They ran, I had one in my yard over the summer a couple of times, seen him walk through, so.
Yeah, he put his head down and pinned his ears back and looked at me and Darby kind of put his head down and looked back, but nobody said a word or did anything, and I just let him, he ran off, and then I gave him some time to make sure that he was gone before we walked back to the car.
Yeah, that was big, for sure.
Yeah. Anything else?
No?
Okay.
So are we, all in agreement that
Yeah.
it's gonna be Hall Road down to Partridge Lane?
I agree with it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I move that we adjourn.
well, I'll second that, all in favor? I got a report from,